questions I couldn't answer. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, we knock on wood wherever we go.
All right, folks, welcome WND Live. My name is Matt Edwards, and it is July 1st, 2024. It is the revenge of the regime. Folks, this morning, Steve Bannon turned himself in. He's going off to serve his prison sentence as the regime that now moves against Biden after that terrible debate performance. We're going to get into all of that today. Let me bring on Josh Turnbow here, our co-host, if he's ready to join us here. Folks, this is how they treat us, right, Josh? I mean, first, Peter Navarro. Yeah, he's sitting in prison now. Now, Steve Bannon is headed off today. And on July 11, we're going to find out whether or not President Donald J. Trump is going to have a prison sentence.
Yeah, a giant day for news today with so many things happening. Bannon going to prison, the SCOTUS ruling, and now, of course, the Democrats are in full revolt against the Biden presidency. They act like they never knew him, and that's what they like to do. They like to discard people. Sometimes they might have an accident if they don't listen, right. And we're getting to see that. So like night and day from before the debate to now, which is just incredible to witness. We should kind of expect that. That's how the Democrats do their thing. But right before the debate, it's nothing but love, and Joe's the most salient, clear-minded person you've ever met. And after it, it's his wife, Dr. Jill, acting like she's a 4th grade teacher, showing the kids how President Biden won't go poopy in his pants. She promises.
I mean, the corporate media, the press is just they're everybody's leaving the ship. I mean, the lifeboats are being jumped off. People are jumping in. They're trying to get off this sinking ship. And I know we've got some clips later on to go through some of that dismal performance. I mean, the entire nation and the world looked at that and in utter disbelief. Now, but back to the top of the story this morning, Steve Bannon, we have some clips from his what would be his final show. He led the War Room. This is Donald Trump's former advisor, the honey badger, they call him lovingly. And so today he's going to Danbury, Connecticut. And we have a story up on WND.com about all the details pertaining to this. But do we have that clip of him this morning? Kind of just giving some words of encouragement to viewers and to folks who were live with him in attendance. Let's take a look at that. Clip number.
Victory and death. Yeah. We'll turn it back over to Real American Voice. It's time for me to surrender up at Danbury. Yeah. Thank you, guys. I hope you don't go next to the prison.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, incredible. Incredible. I mean, when was the last time you saw someone with this kind of media profile who runs a daily show, who's motivated tons of grassroots activists across the country to take back their party and the Republican Party, to hold people to the fire, to never give up. And one of the things that Bannon had mentioned on an earlier I think last night he was on with Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec. But even as much as last week, he was talking about how he doesn't want anybody sending him letters while he's in prison, right?
Yeah, he's taking a hard stand. Just to get back to our very own website and the story that's been written by Alicia Powell, we're going to bring that story up here and going to see what that is. Let me just present that. And we're going to bring in our very own Alicia Powell, who can tell us about that. So here she is. Alicia, how are you? Can you please tell us about everything you're hearing about Bannon and what you've written in the story? Oh, we're having trouble hearing Alicia.
Here, hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
There we go. There we go.
What a tumultuous news week, month, year, few years of things to watch it all kind of escalate to what we've seen transpire over the past 72 hours is just a whirlwind. But I know the people who are being held political hostages by the Biden administration through their testimony over the past 3 years of being held in solitary confinement for long periods without end during the COVID manufactured crisis under the Biden administration, they've been tortured and endured cruel and unusual punishment. And who better to talk to about what the inside of these prisons looks like than a January 6er who has been tortured, brain injured, and coerced by the DOJ and the FBI to take plea deals against Donald Trump in his trial. And that January 6th political prisoner in this instance is Ryan Samsel, who's held in MDC Brooklyn, one of the most dangerous jails in the country, prisons in the country, where the same prison system where Jeffrey Epstein went and allegedly killed himself. People get murdered in these prisons every day. I believe this is a carcinogenic situation with the unchecked Bureau of Prisons in tandem with the Federal Bureau of Investigation spying on Americans. Boiling. This is all boiling above to the surface now, because for years people have been wrongfully incarcerated, spending decade even in prison for misdemeanor crimes. For example, in Washington, D.C., you smell flagrantly marijuana all over the streets. How many people are political prisoners, considering the fact that they've spent a decade or more for selling marijuana in the streets of New York or Washington, D.C. a few years ago? But also, let's look at Joe Biden's history of his crime bill that he sponsored under the Clinton administration, which designates the Department of Justice and even probably the Department of Homeland Security at the time designates Black and Hispanic men as super predators. So there's a lot to talk about. I think Steve Bannon going to prison helps expose all of this nefarious malfeasance that's been going unchecked for a long time. And you can read about the racial warfare that's going on in this country in the prisons. And it's so funny. Most of the inmates in the DC gulag are Black, except for the January 6th political hostages who are held in a different part of the jail called the Patriot Pod. But why is it that most of the inmates in these prisons are Black in the inner cities? And you also have the halfway house across the street where all of the folks are just drug addicted, homeless, impoverished for the rest of their lives, Democrat, probably Biden supporters. So Steve Bannon is walking into all of this to fathom one of the most iconic conservative leaders in a generation walking into the gutter of the dungeon prison system. That's so it is tremendous, and we all wish him. He's in all of our prayers.
Absolutely. Alicia, what do you know anything about this particular prison? What is the makeup? What is the general population of this prison? Who gets sent there? Is it hardened criminals? What kind of treatment is he getting? Do we know yet?
Well, he's not going to probably won't be in solitary confinement as you would suspect a high profile inmate would be, because there really aren't any, from what I've researched so far, there's no cells. They're in dorms. So he'll be in a room with like 50 bunk beds, and he's predominantly housed in the jail with sex offenders. And that's the thing. You go in there for these political charges, committing no violent crimes, and you're housed with murderers. You sometimes have to carry contraband, a blade or something, to make sure you don't get killed or murked for snitching or whatever it is, hanging out with the Blacks when you should be with the whites. This should not be the United States of America, which we just let this hell on earth prevail. And it's no wonder we're in this existential crisis that we're in.
Alicia, do we know when Bannon's going to come out of prison? I've heard it's like right before the election.
Well, let's see. 4 months is what he's sentenced to. I think it's 28 weeks. So, yeah, after the election. But I mean, again, there's a silver lining in all of this. We're motivated. Our morale is really high. I attempted to do a man on the street interview a few days ago in DC, and if you approach Democrat voters about Joe Biden, they are very hesitant to give a response. They do not support him, but they don't want to admit that. It's almost as if they hadn't been given the green light yet, like they were during the debate, to admit that they have eyes and ears and have their own judgment,
Right.
to acknowledge
Right.
this dementia patient.
Yeah, they had to get the signal that it was okay now to acknowledge that.
Right.
Alicia, so Bannon's final broadcast this morning, I mean, the guy seemed upbeat. I mean, you know, you're gonna find him full of energy and full of passion. You know, what do you think? I mean, you just talked about the morale. You think this is really going to translate to motivating more people to step up? I mean, he called for the next man up. You know, if he's going into prison, someone's going to need to fill the gap. And we're going to need to see a lot more of those folks fill his shoes and keep people motivated to be involved in the grassroots and to get local and to make sure you're paying attention.
As he said in as Steve said in one of his final broadcasts, it's a contingent upon us, you. We don't fail unless you stop. Everyone's exhausted from this. The average person can't afford groceries. The average person got the 4th and 5th government mandated injection and got COVID after that. The average person has seen bridges fall down, trains explode. All of these crises, when you actually dig into them, they seem manufactured. Manufacturing plants burning down. What is it? Like, I was up to 200 manufacturing plants mysteriously burned down a year and a half ago. I think we're all tired of this, and there is a great awakening that's happened. But it's man versus machine at this point.
Yeah, it is. And there is Bannon getting into the car, ready to head off to that. Okay, Alicia, where can people follow you? We want to make sure we can follow you on all the social media sites, and then, of course, going to WND to watch your stories there.
I am on Twitter, and also I'm a contributing reporter at the Gateway Pundit. And, of course, I'm so happy to rejoin the team at WND that's also been targeted by the Justice Department, also been targeted by Google. And I'll just conclude with this. I have spent time with Steve Bannon periodically over the years, usually when he's surrounded by a swarm of people. And I've interviewed him a couple of times. We didn't get a chance to interview him before he heads to prison. Maybe we'll catch up with him while he's in prison. But I did send him a prayer, and his response to me is victory or death. So I don't know what that means, but
well, let's focus on the victory.
Practicing that, yeah.
Yeah, great. All right, thank you, Alicia. We'll have you back soon.
Thank you.
All right. Great. All right. Well, let's move on here. We want to bring in Joe Kovacs, the executive news editor at WND, and we got to talk about Biden. I mean, this extraordinary display that he delivered during the debate. Let's kick it off real quick, Joe. Let's look at this clip. This was probably going to be one of the more iconic clips here when Joe is talking about healthcare and kind of loses everybody, including Trump, on his rambling. Do we have that clip we can go to?
Truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
That wasn't quite the clip, but that's a good one nonetheless.
And strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicaid.
Joe, how did you take that debate performance?
Well, I mean, you've heard the word disastrous and calamity thrown out there. And these are by Democrats, by the way, who
Yes.
not just, the typical right-wing conservative parties of America, but everyone thinks it's a disaster, with the exception, perhaps, of Jill Biden, who I don't know if you saw this clip, but after the debate, she was out there on stage with Joe Biden after she helped him down the stage and was at a rally and saying, "Joe, you answered all the questions so perfectly. I was so proud of you. And what did Donald Trump do? He lied." And everyone was cheering. But yeah, it was a bunker buster kind of night for the Democrats and Joe Biden. We have all known this for months. We've been reporting it. We've had his video gaffes, his audio gaffes, shaking hands with the air when nobody's there, all that sort of thing. But now it was on display for the entire world. Not only was CNN broadcasting it, but it was simulcast on Fox News and all the networks, even WND. Here we had the live stream on WND, and you guys did such an excellent job of broadcasting it. So everybody is now aware of the bad health, mental, cognitive issues that Joe Biden has. It's not a secret anymore.
That's right. And thank you for the kind words about our broadcast. You guys can go back and watch that on YouTube from last week. Now, Joe, you have a story up at WND.com detailing Bill O'Reilly came out last night with a post on X talking about how the Biden campaign wanting to be pushed out here. Can you walk us through this article here?
Right. Well, let me just give you some background. And longtime fans of WorldNetDaily, WND, will know this, but we have a lot of new viewers over the years. But Bill O'Reilly made his name here on WorldNetDaily way back in the late 1990s at the turn of the millennium. He was a columnist, a weekly columnist for WorldNetDaily, as it was known at the time. We go back and forth between the names WND and WorldNetDaily. But anyway, he wrote a weekly column for us, and that put him on the map as a force to be reckoned with. And then he became this superstar at the Fox News channel. And we were very happy to see that. And he then stopped his writing for WND. He was just too busy with his duties hosting the No Spin Zone at the Fox News channel. So Bill O'Reilly he was with us way back in our early days when we were, one of the pioneering internet news sites. Now, as you said, yesterday afternoon, he posted on his X feed or Twitter feed, whatever you want to call it, that his news site, which is BillO'Reilly.com now, his news headquarters, that the decision has been made that the president will quit the campaign. And there's two reasons that he cites. Democrat internal polling says he cannot recover from the debate, and also that fundraising is drying up, which would be no surprise, of course. They say that, what is it? Money is the mother milk. I'm getting it wrong here, but basically money is the factor that drives politics. So when you don't have the money to buy the ads, you're not going to get support from across America. Now, I don't know that this election or even the last election had anything to do with money, because for those of you who believe it was stolen, and millions of Americans do, then money didn't play a factor. But right now, America is in a crisis mode, as Alicia mentioned and Steve Bannon was mentioning, and we're really on the brink of not just a Biden debate disaster, but a national calamity between the border and inflation and all the problems that we see just exploding like they've never exploded before.
And that would take us, Matt, to the latest news then. Oh, we lost Matt's audio. So in our next segment, we're going to talk about the latest news with the Supreme Court, which is it's been a huge news day. And to do that, we'll play a clip. Let's see if we got Matt back here.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you
I
back.
can hear you now.
All right, good. I love being live. I love it. You had a
Okay.
clip?
Yes, I do.
Oh, great. Okay, let's watch it.
Court, it does find this. Under our constitutional structure of separated powers, the nature of presidential power entitles a former president to absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority. He is entitled to at least presumptive immunity from prosecution for all his official acts. There is no immunity for unofficial acts. That's the first blush we've got on this. It looks like a 6-3 split. We've got the dissent by Justice Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson join that. There is a kind of split decision on some of these. Somebody joins in one part, not in another part, but that's the overall holding of the court. So what it means now, we'll have to dig into this and see if they tell us now, how do you decide an official act versus an unofficial act? Because that's going to be critical, having now said the president does has an absolute immunity from criminal prosecution.
Yeah, groundbreaking news here. I mean, this is so telling because this doesn't just have ramifications for Trump, but as article on WND talks about as well, is this extends to President Obama, to President Bush, to future presidents, that acts taken while president in an official capacity have some sort of immunity from prosecution, either during, before, or after their term. So maybe not before, but Joe, what do you think of this massive ruling that came out here today?
Well, first of all, it is a victory, a big victory for Donald Trump, because this was the heart of the issue. What is the Constitution does mention presidential immunity, but what does that mean really in life? Can a president go out and murder somebody or not? But what the Supreme Court basically is saying with the 6-3 decision is that in his official capacity as president with official acts, there is that immunity that can be upheld. Now, what does this mean for the legal cases? We're going to have to find out, but the pressure is now on the judge. I think it's Tanya Chutkin, who is an Obama-appointed a judge in this case, and handling the Jack Smith prosecution, who is a special prosecutor, who there are questions about his legality as special prosecutor because he didn't go through the normal process to become the special prosecutor. But anyway, the question is, what will it do to this case? Now, there are many legal analysts that are saying that these charges against Trump are going to have to be thrown out, at least some of them, based on this ruling, unless the judge decides to go rogue. And we've seen judges, especially against Trump, go rogue in previous cases. So it's now really up to the judge to decide based on the Supreme Court ruling. But again, overall, it is considered to be a huge victory, bigly, as Trump would say, for the former president.
Yes, absolutely.
A bigly victory.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, Joe brings up a good point. The president may not be immune from, say, knocking an intern over the head with a blunt object in his office, but maybe perhaps drone striking people across the globe. That might be sanctioned under this sort of immunity if he does it in his official capacity. What do you think about this when it comes to splitting the hairs and trying to figure out in legal terms what this might mean?
One thing that's, I think, fascinating, and I'm not a legal expert, but I would kind of talk about it, is that in just the last few months, we've seen the Supreme Court undo things that were essential to the deep state, the bureaucratic system that runs America, with the Chevron deference being overturned. We're starting to see a new look at America that doesn't have like these legal shackles that have been put on from, essentially like 40 years ago with the previous Supreme Courts. And a weird thing here is, and some people have said this, I think it's important to draw attention to it, is that we can sit here and kind of talk about these victories because President Trump put Supreme Court nominees, he put them into the court. And that's the only reason we can kind of, be thrilled about these decisions. Not every decision has been the way we wanted it to go, but this is night and day from what we previously had. And I think that's fantastic.
Elections matter, and that's the thing people need to realize. I know there's a lot of people, even Christians, conservative Christians, don't like to vote because they say, well, you know, we're really part of the kingdom of God and that government of God, and we don't really want to have anything to do with the ways and laws and systems here on earth. But when you don't vote, when you take yourself out of the system and not have your voice heard, you are in effect voting for evil, because you're letting the evil people are all going to vote because they want their weirdness and rebellion laws being passed. But if good, decent, you don't even have to be a Christian, but if just good, decent people stay home, then the evil will overcome whatever good votes are in there. So again, if you don't vote, you are in effect voting for evil. You're choosing to allow the evildoers to steamroll over you. And then you wonder, oh, America's going to hell in a handbasket, and, you know, nothing's being done about it. But I would say to those people, you know, who stay at home, don't stay at home. Go out and vote for whomever you feel most aligns with your beliefs. And it, you know, these people aren't perfect. As we know, nobody's perfect. We all fall short. But when it comes to saving the nation, and this is, again, we're in a crisis mode right now. We need to save America from this onslaught of wickedness that is just darkening the fruited plain.
Yeah, well put, Joe. Well put. We all got to be involved. We all got to stay involved. One last question here. Looking at all of this, from Bannon going to prison to his Trump sentencing coming up to, you know, Bill O'Reilly's prediction, the debate performance, what we just went through, the Supreme Court here. What does this all mean for Trump? Where is this headed? What do you think the outlook is for him as he makes his way through this summer?
Well, first of all, I think Trump is going to be emboldened by the Supreme Court decision. And like Steve Bannon was saying, he's happy to go to prison if it wakes people up. And he kept chanting, next man up, because this is not a fight about Steve Bannon or President Trump. This is a fight about all of us. And we all have to get involved to voice truth, voice justice, you know, in the American way, the way that it's been since our founding fathers, back when they made the Declaration and the Constitution in the late 1700s. But we've had all kinds of odd, woke, disturbing, rebellious voices in the past decade or two, especially, but especially like in the last 5 or 10 years. We never had such woke nonsense in America. But, you know, Trump, I think, will be emboldened by it. You know, even if they send him to prison on July 11th for that nonsense in New York, there's nothing in the Constitution that precludes you from being president from jail. It's just not there. So it would be a fantastic thing to happen. I mean, if he does get elected, and, you know, if there's no shenanigans in the election, it's I don't want to say it's a done deal, but Trump is looking very strong, especially if Biden is the nominee. And even if they replace Biden as the nominee with whoever, Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, or the dreaded Michelle Obama. You know, we've heard Big Mike, right? People have been predicting it. There's books out there that we sell on WND of people predicting that Michelle Obama will be the Democrat candidate for president. So, you know, it looks like their house of cards, the Democrats' house of cards, is falling. It could be some divine intervention here from God Almighty to help America, give us one last chance, because people are awake now. We're not woke. Some people are woke, but we're just awake to the issues and the crisis that's facing America. And it can be saved. You know, if we turn our hearts to God and each individual out there repents of whatever wrongdoing is going on in their mind and their heart, you know, God sees that, and he will reward us perhaps with a decent leader.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt that there's a lot of unknowns still yet to come. Today's only January 1st. It's Monday of this week, and we're just getting started. I mean, this is incredible. What a What a thing. What a thing to behold. Okay. Any other clips we wanted to share? Or are we feeling like we're caught up here?
No, I think we
Josh,
got them
what do you
all
think?
out. I mean, the minute we sign off, the news cycle is going to explode again. But
Of course.
It always does.
you can follow us, of course. Everything that's important is going to go to WND.com, WorldNet Daily News. That's where you can see all of Joe's articles, and the amazing staff is writing and following every breaking story with critical analysis. And of course, we'll shoot all of that over to our social media channels. You can see those in the description. We're on Facebook, YouTube. We need you to go to Rumble. We need you to follow us on Rumble because we need to get those followers, those subscribers up. So please do that. You can look us up. It's WND at Rumble. You just go there and search it. Subscribe. We need you to follow us there. And that's going to be, that's going to be one of the back doors that we trust more than, say, Facebook or even YouTube, when censorship certainly comes in the next, few weeks or months leading up to the election. Where are you going to see the breaking news? You can go to us online, but we really want you to follow us on Rumble. So please do that. And come back. We're going to be here 3 times a week. We're going to have shows going up on the channels. And we thank you for even watching this far.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thanks, Josh. Thank you, folks, for watching. My name is Matt Edwards, and we will be back here on Wednesday with some more breaking news. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.